caught the virus would infect around 3 other people, and obviously that, trebles every stage, so the virus really spreads quite quickly. And it's been the government's sort of modus operandi, if that's the right term, to get that R rate as low as possible. And they did that quite successfully in the initial lockdown, but now things are starting to open up. We are seeing that infection rate increase. Now, we have this thing to help the sort of casual dining economy here in the UK called Eat Out to Help Out. Now, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak announced this idea a long time ago, and it's been very, very popular. So this month in August, every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, participating restaurants can sort of offer 50% off all food up to a total value of £10. So essentially, you get almost, so if you spend £20, you get £10 off, so you can get 50% off your food. So this means that thousands of people are pouring into restaurants between Monday and Wednesday, and what we're hearing is that there isn't a lot of sort of even social distancing. Some places are being really, really good with the social distancing. Some places aren't. There is a pub just down the road from me called Wetherspoons. They're quite a famous chain. The guy who runs it is quite a political character, Tim, the guy that runs Wetherspoons. And there have been a fair few reports of social distancing just not happening in there. Now, I've actually been to the Wetherspoons, it's just down my road. And other than, you can't go in if you've not got a table, the tables are still fairly close together. So it's easy to sort of understand how this R rate is rising. Theatre Fit says Rishi's Dishes. Yes, Rishi's Dishes. Rishi's 50% off deal. And, I've done it too. I went to Wagamama's and I had a lot of food for a lot less money than it would have cost me before coronavirus. But that is ending. How many days have we got left in August? That's ending soon. That ends at the end of August. Hello to everyone that's watching. People from Los Angeles there. There's Mark and Drew. Hey, Drew. Someone's asked, can we explain the R value? So the R value, or the R number, or the R naught, as sometimes it's called, is the sort of reinfection rate. So currently it's between 0.8 and 1.1 where I am right now. So if I get coronavirus, can I tilt the camera? Oh, graphics are covering your face. Oh, oops. Hope you can see me a bit better now. Thanks for the shout. Great. Cool. So the R value, that's where we were. That is the amount of people you're likely to infect if you catch coronavirus. So currently, like I was saying, it's between 0.8 and 1.1 where I'm right now. So if I get coronavirus, that is who I am on average going to pass it on to. Now, that's still a lot lower than it was right at the start of quarantine, but what the concern is that it's going in the wrong direction. We want it to be going down, but as lots of restrictions are eased, as people get back out there into the community, back to work, and they don't follow social distancing, then that's why the R number's rising. DPM says it's the Northerners' fault. Well, interestingly, there is a lot of, I'm just looking at the watch list here, the local authority watch list, and a lot of them are, northern areas. And, it's a difficult one to police because, social distancing isn't natural, is it? It's hard to, make sure that you're successfully socially distancing when you're out and about, because it's, you're in a shopping mall, you're in a supermarket. It's hard to stay 2 meters away. I think the only place where you do maybe successfully stay 2 meters away from anyone is when you're in the queue, the queue to pay, and the markers are on the floor to help you. Because it's not human nature, is it? We weren't brought up socially distancing. So it's a difficult, thing, because I also hate wearing masks. I do it because I have to. And there's been some discussion about whether masks should be compulsory in the workplace. But yeah, I just think it's a really difficult thing to get people to socially distance, and we're going to be seeing more of these local lockdowns, which is the sort of government's approach to trying to stop the spread of coronavirus right now. You know, without putting the whole of the country into lockdown, these areas that are on the watch list are being put into localized lockdowns, and places like Leicester, they were one of the first, I think, to go into the local lockdown. They're having restrictions start to ease. But yeah, that's the government's approach, really, a whack-a-mole approach to trying to get rid of the coronavirus. But I mean, a major thing that the government is using now to stop the spread of the virus coming back into the country is these quarantines for travellers that are coming back from countries. And the most recent one to be added to the quarantine list is Croatia. So the quarantine comes in 4 a.m. tomorrow. So if people returning from Croatia aren't back before 4 a.m. Saturday morning, then they have to quarantine for 14 days. Now, it's unclear how well policed these quarantine orders are. I think a lot of it is still, sort of trusting the people that they will self-isolate for 14 days. More countries added are places like Trinidad and Tobago, and Portugal is now off the quarantine list. So if you're coming back from Portugal, you don't need to self-isolate for 14 days. So that is sort of, in a nutshell, what's going on in terms of the COVID-19 in the UK. We're also, still working through the exams scandal. So the A-level results, hundreds of thousands of students had their grades dramatically marked down, meaning that many of them missed out on university places, which are often given dependent on receiving certain grades at A level. And those places at university have already gone. They've been given out to other students who maybe did better because of the algorithm. So this algorithm was what decided a student's grade. And Grant Shapps, the Education Secretary, Gavin Williamson, has come under major fire for this, because Ofqual, I think that's how you pronounce it, the exams regulator, they have used this algorithm, and it based the grades that it gave out to the students on the previous success of the school. So traditionally, schools in sort of more deprived areas don't do as well, in exams. So you're a very bright student, but you go to a school in quite a poor area. Therefore, your exam grade is downgraded because your school traditionally doesn't get that many high grades. Hello to Adam, who's just tuned in. He says, "Hey, Jamie." Hey, Adam. And another major story here in the UK is PC Andrew Harper. It's actually, it's a story to this day that I still am quite shocked by it. It's a story that's been going on for a long time, about a year. So it was last August when this happened. It's such a tragic, thing that happened. So this police officer, PC Andrew Harper, went along to a quad bike burglary that was in progress, and the three teenagers who were trying to steal this quad bike in Berkshire fled the scene, but PC Andrew Harper was actually caught in, what was it? He got his ankle caught in some sort of a cane strap, so quite a sturdy piece of material, a crane strap, and he was dragged along for about a mile down a dark country road, and he died during that. And the three teenagers, the three boys, aged between 18 and 19, received their sentences this week. Now they're actually appealing the result, but their sentencing has been deferred to the Court of Appeal by the Attorney General, because she believes that the sentences are too low. So the guy that was driving, he received a sentence of 16 years, and then the other two got a sentence of 13 years each. Now, PC Andrew Harper's widow has been speaking quite openly in the press this week about how she believes that anyone responsible for the death of someone who works a job like a police officer, or maybe someone that works as a paramedic or a doctor, if you're responsible for their death, you should, automatically be dealing with quite a substantial sentence. And I heard some interesting discussion on that this week. I mean, it's not wrong. It's just, an interesting consideration that the courts would therefore value the life of someone who works for a public service, like a police officer, a teacher, a paramedic. They would value their lives more because they'd be dishing out a harsher sentence. I'm not a philosopher. I just thought it was an interesting consideration, because these laws, often have a major impact. So, to react and change the whole legislation based on one case, legislation that's, so core as the one that people are suggesting is changed, I believe doesn't take into account the sort of intricacies of each case. So I still believe each case should be judged, independently. But I do believe these three boys, should face much larger sentences. I mean, if you just Google their names, the sort of poses that they're doing in handcuffs, it's very disrespectful. They're like this and like doing that, and up the tongue out when they're being, taken into courts and taken out of police vans and things like that with the paparazzi. You've got them. They're still young, but at the age of 18 and 19, I don't know, I wouldn't have a smile on my face if I was responsible for the death of a police officer, a 28-year-old police officer, I must add, that was married, I think, just 1 month before. So a guy just 1 year older than me. So that's a story that is continuing to sort of develop here in the UK. I think probably they will be facing much longer sentences. But yeah, it's a shocker. That one. I've got a comment here from Sadly Foamy Dumps, of that username, who says, shows you once again that parents and government don't care about their children and just want to own them, not care for them. That could be in relation to either the coronavirus or the exams scandal story that I was talking about just a few minutes ago. And yeah, the kids of this generation have really been sort of dealt a raw deal, haven't they? It must be absolutely insane, being, not able to have any closure. If you're a school leaver or a college leaver, you're not really going to get that closure, because it's a big thing, isn't it? It's a big sort of mental, emotional thing when you leave for university. I know it was for me. And if you don't really have that closure, you're sort of left in this, sort of limbo phase. And I guess we'll see the effects of that, later on. They do say, I have seen some research that younger people that have, lived through, 9/11 and, seeing that on the news, the sort of the amount of media coverage there is on, really quite dark stories, it has caused quite a lot of anxiety in young people that are growing up, through all of this, plethora of media. Now, as we've seen with HAPS, that's not absolutely a bad thing, but yeah, it is having an effect, I guess, on the younger population. But there we go. That is just about what's going on in the UK here. I am going to be jumping off now, just seeing if there's any updates on any of the stories that I've spoken about. But in a sense, in a few sentences, the R number is rising here in the UK. The SAGE, the government scientific advisory body, say it is between 0.8 and 1.1. The people responsible for PC Andrew Harper's death were dealt sentences between 13 and 16 years, and people are calling for those sentences to be extended. And the Attorney General has actually sent it to the appeals court to try and get those sentences increased. And tourists returning from Croatia will now have to quarantine for 14 days from tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Theatre Fit was going to ask about Birmingham. I know Birmingham's on a watch list, but let me see if I can pull up the stats for you now. Birmingham's definitely on a watch list. It's not currently at the top of that watch list. You know, it's on the second page here, and Birmingham is seeing 30.2 new cases per 100,000, and they're actually on the rise. It's telling me there that it's trending up, and it's receiving enhanced support, and that's likely to be test and track and trace, increased efforts there, and people are still allowed to mix in each other's households in Birmingham. But just right by Birmingham, well, not that close, but close enough, Leicester, they're seeing twice the amount of cases, so 60.5 per 100,000. Think it might be next for lockdown. Yeah, I think there's a lot to do with Birmingham's the second city here in the UK. Birmingham's a very, very big place, so it probably is quite high on the priority. I'm just going to read some of the comments that are just coming in. In relation to the coronavirus, from the beginning, it was either lies or manipulation of the truth. It was nobody can catch it other than older people. Then it was okay, people under 50 can catch it with underlying issues. I think, in all honesty, the government have sort of led by confusion. I haven't even mentioned, but Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, is currently on holiday and has been on holiday through the week when A-level students, hundreds of thousands of A-level students, faced absolute turmoil over their grades. And BTEC students haven't even received theirs yet. They've said it may be next week when the BTEC students will receive their results. But, there's been a lot of talk about Boris Johnson not being present very much through the whole coronavirus period. But that's for a public inquiry to decide. So I'm not going to say that the Prime Minister has done too much of a bad job until we know everything that's gone on. Of course, it's so easy to criticise the government, but I think you have to think about how you would deal with a situation like this. And they probably weren't as prepared as they could have been, but I'm not sure how good I would be at dealing with a pandemic either. But then again, I don't want to run for Prime Minister, do I? So it doesn't really, it wouldn't ever be a thing that I would have to do. Okay, let's just have a look at a few more comments. Cool. Well, I am just coming up to about 20 minutes. My phone battery is dying, and my home studio here. Let me just give you a little quick pan. Can you see it? Those lights are getting very warm. It's nearly 9 o'clock. So I'm going to head off. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to check out my page. If you follow me on Haps, then I do sort of daily videos where I round up sort of the news in the UK in about 3 minutes. I've posted one already today, so if you want some more, then head to my Haps account and follow those videos. Give them a like, give me a follow here, and then I'll see you in another video sometime soon. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.